Welcome, and today we're talking about the doomed Forgotten Realms. Doomed! Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, and today we're going to discuss the DM's Guild for the Sword Coast Gazetteer of the Doomed Forgotten Realms. This is by a group of people called Quill and Cauldron, a lot of really talented authors. We're going to dive in, but first, this video is actually sponsored by the DM's Guild themselves, and so they reached out and said, what do you want to review? And I said, this thing, because it's pretty awesome. So if you're watching this currently, as of today, which is July 5th, all the way to July 10th, they're going to have 30% off Stranger Monsters, which is titles about Demogorgons, Mind Flayers, and Vecna. And that includes the Doomed Forgotten Realms, Rise of Vecna. So you could pick up that if you want for 30% off. They also have a bunch of 2E titles about Vecna that are now in print on demand. So the original Die Vecna Die, Vecna Lives, and Vecna Reborn are all on print on demand. So you can have those adventures. They're super fun. I've done videos on all of them as I covered Vecna. I'll put some links down below. And then I have a personal coupon of 10% off $10 or more of community created D&D PDFs through 7/19/2022. So within that window, you can use code VECNAFAN at checkout to save an additional 10% off $10 or more of community created D&D PDFs. There you go. Affiliate links down below. All right, so jumping in, this is the Doomed Forgotten Realms Sword Coast Gazetteer. If you don't know what a gazetteer is, it is a geographical index of a certain area. So this is the fictional Sword Coast, but it is the doomed version of that Forgotten Realms. And they are expanding upon their Doomed Forgotten Realms kind of brand, I guess, that they've been doing on the DM's Guild. Okay, so here's the other one that I reviewed, and if you're interested in this, you can also find links down below to the review that I did, but also, what have you. So Doomed Forgotten Realms is this idea that what if all of the monsters won? And so this is an adventure it's pretty fun. And if you're a fan of the realms, it's really cool. Like I really enjoyed this. I only review things that I enjoy, but I really, really enjoyed this. Just this haphazard idea of all the 5e adventures that have come out. What if the bad guys won? And now we have demon lords running through the abyss. Or not the abyss, but the Underdark. We have all kinds of other stuff happening, like Tiamat's walking around. And all of this is controlled by Vecna, who has instigated all of this. So Acererak is down in Chult with his soulmonger harvesting souls. Bad news bears all around. So they went a step further and created this Gazetteer. And what this has some player options, but from my standpoint, more importantly from a DM's perspective, has a whole bunch of really interesting twists on locations within the Forgotten Realms.
What a twist!
Yeah, so they have a map as well of their like changes to the Forgotten Realms. So Gauntlgrim, and we got Evernight. Neverwinter is now renamed Evernight. We have, I think this is because of Princes of the Apocalypse, but we have all of this, the Throne of Primordial Unity here. Waterdeep, Daggerford, a bunch of other, So just really interesting stuff. It's a really high-res, fun map. Heldor's Gate is where Baldur's Gate was. So really cool. If you're a fan of the realms, this is a really interesting idea. And I thought this was super cool. So we're going to dive in and see what makes the Sword Coast Gazetteer the coolest ever. So let's go. Right off the get-go, we have using this book, which is really fun, and a brief history of events, and then maps and what have you. And then chapter 2, we have the different factions that are going to be major players in the Doomed Forgotten Realms, and then a list of all of the locations. So it's primarily focusing on the Sword Coast because, no fault to them, but the adventures that they're mirroring the catastrophes on are all Sword Coast adventures because Wizards of the Coast only made Sword Coast adventures really for D&D 5e. And then some minor locations, which is just if they happen to visit this is how this is different. I was a little sad that the Underdark was a minor location, but I suppose you could just throw more demons running around in the Underdark and you're probably good. And then we have campaign hooks for different levels. So levels 1 to 4. So you could really have players jump in at level 11 or 5, those different tiers to start a different kind of campaign. And then we have 5 new subclasses, twists on old backgrounds and new backgrounds. And then Heroic Chronicles are some of the updated lists and various tools that Wizards of the Coast has given us over the years. I want to say like piety, but I don't think piety is part of that, but those kind of things. And so this is from Volo, which is really funny. He's like, oh, how do I describe the horrific atrocities that have happened? And Icewind Dale froze solid, and Baldur's Gate and Elturel were dragged into the Nine Hells. Oh man, just things got worse. And the Underdark is now like the Abyss because some drow summoned a bunch of people. Oh gosh. It's just, and Tiamat, yeah, that's a thing. This is the map I was talking about. And if you buy the adventure, it comes with this map as a separate JPEG. So factions, Brigand Dearth, it's nice that they're still around and doing well. Apparently you're a good guy. So their goals are to ensure Vecna's downfall. They want to return the Forgotten Realms back to its former glory. Jarlaxle being and so now we have like renown and stuff like that you can earn by being part of this faction. Cult of the Dragon, you want to ensure that Tiamat is going to rule over everything. And that's the other interesting thing about this is I'm sure all of these villains don't like that they have competition. They want to be like the supreme ruler. So I bet everyone's kind of like, Tiamat probably wants to overthrow Vecna just as much as other people. So yeah, you can totally play an evil campaign this way, which would be kind of fun. Cult of the Elemental Eye. Leader is Tharsden the Chained. The corrupt deity Tharsden plots from Voidhara, which is his prison. So apparently he's connected here. That's kind of interesting. You can join Vecna's Alliance. Vecna's Alliance compromises of the forces who have bent the knee to Vecna. So we have a Serac of Chult, the Arcane Brotherhood, Liches of the Warlock's Crypt, the Kingdom of Many Arrows, just the Yuan-Ti in general, and Red Wizards of Thay. They're all bowing down to Vecna. And the Zentarum, I'm glad they're still kicking it. Manshun is their first. Manshun versus Vecna. Chapter 3, locations. The Sword Coast, but not as you know it. Darkness everywhere. And then here are some of the major locations. This is nice. It's very, it's laid out like other Gazetteers that I've read. So here's the population. And this is fun. So Evernight, formerly known as Neverwinter, we have all kinds of ghouls and ghasts and vampires and undead and 5% of other races. So it's not a happy place anymore. Lots of death. And then even interesting stuff about the history, the government, how did it get here, economy and trade, religion. So Evernight was actually in the Shadowfell. That is the dark reflection of Neverwinter. So when the city was within the despair-filled plain of the Shadowfell, it was filled with followers of Baal, the deity of murder, Merkel, the deity of the dead, and most notably Orcus, the demon lord of the undead. So there are lots of those. Rumors carried on the wind that told how Vecna had personally bested Orcus, unseating him as the lord of the undead. Heldor's Keep is Baldur's Gate, I believe. And so we have fiends, tieflings, and other races. Pretty awesome. And then government, the Bloodless 3. Within the Nine Hells, I can zoom in on this. Within the Nine Hells, a coven of pit fiends called the Dark Eight strategize all the military might of Hell's armies. On the Sword Coast, there exists a smaller group called the Bloodless 3. They coordinate efforts with Zariel, but have free jurisdiction to carry out their own orders or task forces. This allows Zariel to focus on the more pressing matters and gives Asmodeus a direct line to the Blood War through his appointed Bloodless 3. And what is this? Madosfan? Delma? This is Drow humans. I don't know what this is. Elvish for Ocean Home. It isn't a city in the traditional sense, but a fleet of ships of all shapes and sizes, all sailing united under the Brigand Dearth banner. Refugees, sailors, families, and everyone who fled the Sword Coast by taking to the sea eventually found their way to join the mass of fleets. To date, This Kumando Dosfan Del Ma consists of over 70 vessels, from galleons and longboats to little dinghies. That's interesting. I like this. This is kind of cool. So that's their like, I don't know, I guess you're safer on the move kind of a thing. Chapter 4 is campaign hooks. So I like this, where you can restore order and balance, or you can embrace evil. Either way, you're probably going to want to overthrow Vecna, because even if you're good or evil, you want to be in charge, especially if you're evil. So here are some hooks for levels 1 to 4. Harper's rekindling faith of a specific god. I like that. Levels 5 to 10. Halaster Black Cloak is no fool. He lacks the power to confront Vecna, and transporting the Undermountain into his own demiplane gives him time to gather it. He needs minions, capable ones. So he hires you to help you out. Yeah, it's pretty cool. 11 to 16. A world of ice that never melts. Aril captured Icewind Dale. Now we want to seize the Ring of Winter. And so people are out to look for the Ring of Winter Zariel could freeze over all of the Underdark. They all want it, so you have to prevent that. And then even all the way to 20, we complain that Wizards of the Coast doesn't make adventures to level 20, but here, there's lots of cool stuff on the DM's Guild. And then chapter 5, we have character options. These are subclasses that are kind of themed for the Doomed Forgotten Realms, but if you're interested in them, obviously you can use them in whatever setting or instance you want. But we have Bard College of Elements. So I'm going to zoom in down here. So Bard College of Elements, these weavers of song and dance incorporate the elements into their performances. Druid Circle of the Nine, these corrupt druids reshape the world around them in a cruel hellscape. For fighter, we have Zentlar's Finest. These warriors strike their enemies down with fear and blade and kine. And that's a Zentarum specific fighter, I believe. The one I like the most, the Rogue Spellslayer, assassins that excel in disrupting magic and slaying spellcasters. I tried to make one of those out of a bard, but it wasn't as cool as I wanted it to be. Wizard School of Secrets. Very interesting. So with Bard College of Elements, we'll go over a couple that are my favorite, but College of Elements, harmonies that resonate with the elements, and you can spend 1 minute channeling one of the elements, after which you gain one of the following effects. Air, you can dash as a bonus action, and you can levitate. And there you go. Or Earth, you get a +2 bonus to your AC. I really think you're probably going to take that most times. Fire, you radiate dim light out to 30 feet, and any creature that hits you with a melee attack while within 5 feet of you takes fire damage equal to your Bard level. Pretty strong. And water, you can breathe underwater, and gaining a swim speed, you can move through a space as narrow as 1 foot wide without squeezing. Oh, so you can kind of turn into water. That's cool. You can also summon an elemental ambassador. So a mud method or a smoke method or a steam method. And then at 6th level, you can do more of the same, the invoke essence. You bend your connection with the elements to deliver an explosive burst of primordial power. As an action, you can expend any number of your bardic inspiration dice to create one of the following effects. Air, one large or smaller creature you can see within 30 feet of you must succeed on a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC or be launched into the air. So you use the die, but it doesn't roll the die is what it looks like. Earth, a creature you can see within 30 feet of you gains temporary hit points equal to the total rolled on the bardic inspiration die. Okay. Fire, you create a 10-foot high, 5-foot wide, and 1-foot thick pillar of flame on a solid surface. And on a failed save, a creature takes fire damage equal to the total rolled bardic inspiration dice. And then water, one creature you can see within 30 feet of you gains temporary hit points equal to the total rolled on the bardic inspiration dice. And for as long as that creature has those temporary hit points, they have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Until the target loses all okay. So for the earth one, you can ignore difficult terrain with those points. And for this one, you get extra protection. So that's pretty good. Druid Circle of the Nine, Zentalar's Finest, sorry. And then I really like this one, so I wanted to talk about that. So the Rogue Spellslayer, I have a thing for rogues that are designed to kill wizards because wizards will cause the most damage. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to get a wizard really fast. You're very specific as a player, but I think you come in very clutch when it's like giant spellcasters that you're fighting. I like that a lot. So spell slayers came to existence out of necessity. These bands of like-minded scoundrels, assassins, and thieves saw the liches who rose to power emboldened by Vecna's return and simply knew what must be done. So to defeat a spellcaster, you must first study, much like a wizard, and use those lessons against them. So right away, third level, you get Shatter Concentration. You strike with such precision as to disrupt the concentration of even the most mentally resolved spellcasters. Immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature that is currently concentrating on a spell or effect, you can increase the DC of its Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on the spell or effect, no action required. The DC increases by half your rogue level rounded up. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So I'm increasing the DC, hoping that they will forget their or lose concentration. Know thy enemy. You've spent countless hours studying spellcasters of all kinds to ensure you're never surprised by a spell. You gain proficiency in the Arcana skill. Stolen Magic, 9th level. You learn not only how to break a caster's concentration, but to outright steal it temporarily. When you cause a creature to lose concentration on a spell or similar effect, you can use your reaction to cast that spell or create that effect. The new spell save DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. Regardless of the spell's normal duration, it only lasts until the end of your next turn. So you could steal a summoned elemental or something, but just for one turn. So, or whatever kind of effect that they put on you. I wonder how this is going to be going forward with monsters that don't cast spells, though. But if you are concentrating on a spell or similar effect, it would still be good. They worded it well, where you could still interpret it like, oh, I should be able to steal this effect. Even it's a magical effect that he's concentrating on, even though it's not on a spell on the spell list. So good job. That was good wording. Arcane Contingency. You've seen and subjected yourself to countless spell effects to learn how to best defend against them. Advantage on saving throws against a spell you've successfully identified. In addition, when you are subjected to a spell or magical effect that allows you to make a saving throw to take only half damage, you can use your reaction to take no damage if you succeed. Good use of reaction. And then Sever the Weave. You've mastered separating the caster from their most prominent spells. When you deal sneak attack damage to a creature, you can force it to make a wisdom saving throw, and on a failed save, the creature immediately loses concentration on any spell or effect it's concentrating on, and it can't use features or cast spells that require concentration for 1 minute. This creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. That would be a really good ability for monsters too, like a really cool, like, monster spellcaster. So, but I'm wondering how often, like in a fight, thwarting a concentration spell seems pretty easy. So like, I like the idea of this, but now that I think about it, like you're probably better off just hitting him, like hitting your spellcaster 8 or 9 times rather than once with a rogue, hoping that you can use your reaction to make him lose concentration. I don't know. I'm surprised that disadvantage on concentration checks isn't in here, but I think that's a feat with Mage Slayer, so maybe that's why. So this is really cool. I like this a lot with the social status relationships. So depending on your background, you can have an ally or a rival in certain, like in Brigand Dearth or in other places. And so I kind of like that. It really establishes like, hey, I have an ally. I want to work with you, DM, on how to make that ally or make that rival. And then finally, backgrounds. They are twists on the backgrounds that you find normally. So it gives it a Doomed Forgotten Realms kind of vibe to help your character fit in, which is the whole point. Let's be honest. This PDF is 74 pages, and it's so good. Like, if you wanted, I have some friends that love the Forgotten Realms, and this would be really fun to run. I said this the last time with their adventure, that if you've ran a lot of these adventures like Icewind Dale and Tomb of Annihilation and Horde of the Dragon Queen and all those, say like, hey, we've made it all the way through there. Let's play the like what if section. Like what if everything went wrong? And you could even use your old characters, like, you know, boot up your Icewind Dale level 13 characters and have them jump into this and take them to 20. Like that sounds like so much fun. So here we are, Doomed Forgotten Realms, $8.99. It is a platinum bestseller. They're doing great. I think it's totally worth the money. Like this is really, really fun. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, it's super, super cool. Eventually it would be awesome if you could get all 3 of these books that they've made and put them into one big print on demand, because I would love a print version of this. And like these epic, what is it called? Heroic Adventures. Yeah. So he's made other stuff, and I've reviewed the Shadowfell one specifically, and I think a bunch of other people have done the Hero's Handbook. But the Shadowfell book, I love that these people wrote. So they've been doing some really, really great stuff. And like you said, Vecna, because anything that's Vecna, it's like a little discounted right now. So be sure to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing stuff. If you're interested in things like this, please subscribe. I'll also put a playlist of other things that I have reviewed that are DM's Guild, and go check them out. I like all of them. I think they're really great. With that, I will be back soon, because I have, I think, a video scheduled for tomorrow. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys in the next video. If you are interested about my shirt, it says "Not Fast, Not Furious," because I am a sloth at heart.